Okay, so I'm gonna do this one first today. Hopefully it doesn't get too loud. I started the washer a while ago, and Stella, it's so funny because she always follows me into the bathroom, and I went in to go take a shower, and she takes up the whole entire floor. So I have little spaces I can walk around. She takes up the whole fucking bathroom. But so anyway, she's in the bathroom, laying there, so I couldn't shut the door. So, anyways, I should start playing this game. What time do you think it is? And then by the end, to tell what time it is. I just, to me, I got to just go off of this whole concept of night and day, especially while it's so dark all the time. Like it's dark most of the day here. And you know what I started thinking? It's kind of weird because daylight savings time, I think, was because in our natural cycles, we need to be hibernating. We need to stay in more. We need to regroup. We need to unplug. Like we have cycles, natural rhythms of our own bodies. And it would follow the natural cycles of the earth if they allowed that. But, and they use school as a excuse. So that, they got to make sure that it's light for the students. They can't be out walking in the dark. Well, maybe we should just reduce school in winter. When that makes sense? Like everything is so much about their control. But today was something I wanted to talk about was like with their vetting system. Because I think a lot of people don't really get how it works. And to me, how I'm seeing it, and I don't know what triggered this. There was a video I saw. It's usually a lot of different things, and then it's just like all of a sudden, all this stuff just makes sense, and like I can just see it more clearly or something. But so what they do, this light is kind of bright. Sometimes I'm sitting there like squinting at this light, and I'm like, these lights are so funky. But they're so artificial, and I know that's what it has to do. I know that is part of the thing with my eyes. I had changed all my light bulbs out. Well, I mean, it became a certain point where you had to, right? I mean, the only place you could even find those light bulbs was at the dollar store. And then they even made a whole thing where you had to pay more to use them. They take more power, and that's why they have to have the LED. But the LED is this artificial light, I think, that messes with your eyes, and then it gives it that base that it emits some type of frequency. That's what it's about. And I've noticed while this has been going on too, oh my gosh, my teeth. So I know there's a lot of metal in my mouth that I just can't even tell you how, I swear to God, the med beds just is what keeps me going. Even told my daughter yesterday, she was saying something, and she goes, well, that all sounds really great and stuff. I hope you're right. And something like that. And I said, if I didn't fully believe this, I would not be able to get through this. There's no fucking way. There's no way I would come here for this without there being the other part. This is just like below my soul pay grade kind of thing. This is not something I need to come and learn these lessons. There's people learning lessons all the time that I already know. They're already a part of my imprint. And I know that I am here to help people learn it as they're going because they're so misdirected. And I know there's tons of us. And it all just depends on where your incarnations go and stuff. It isn't, I mean, we're all part of the same system. It isn't one person's better and stuff. And I know there's so much of that in the spiritual community right now. These people who have come to save the world, they kind of have taken that out of context and made like that they're better and superior and stuff like that. It isn't like that. It is different than that. It is, and when you advance spiritually, you really do understand how we are all the same. We're all the same, and the differences are so we can learn from each other. And we're all learning. We're all part of the same thing. We all benefit from one another's lessons. And our lessons are much bigger than just who and what we are. There's whole universal system lessons and stuff. And that is part of what we're going through here. People want to get down to the microcosm of what's going on inside in their lives, in their orbit. And that is good because that is what's going to progress them through their healing and stuff. So they need to do that. You need to take it down. You need to look under the microscope. You need to see yourself. So that is part of it. But the earth is also going through that. And whatever doesn't vibe with her, just like as we're all awakening, going, ooh, no, I don't really vibe with you anymore. Like, ooh, the earth is doing the same thing. And so, and people who don't vibe with her, they're just going to be leaving. It's not like they're going to be punished. Like, everybody keeps making everything like as a punishment. And, or a gift, but that is that hierarchy that they have trained and programmed into people's minds, that somebody's better and somebody's worse, somebody's a winner, somebody's a loser. Those are concepts and paradigms that we have to break ourselves, and we have to see through that, and that comes from within. When you can see we're all the same, that was part of the programming to give us an opportunity, because there truly is. This opportunity is what gives you this a chance so that you can see your own moral fiber. What is it, the ethical code that makes you up? Can you go into the worst of the worst circumstance and still remember who you are, and still be driven by the light, even though there's so much dark that is nipping at your toes? So, that is for each soul to recognize in themselves. And it isn't like somebody wins or loses or anything. There's so many people who speak about the dimensions and the whole concept of this ascending and stuff, and it is so much still built on the paradigms of this religious, divisional kind of way to keep us. It is about keeping us small and controlled. No matter how or what they do, that is what it's all about. And so the people there, the spiritual community is just, it is like all these other communities based on these dysfunctional ways that we've been taught. And so they're not doing anything wrong, they just haven't seen yet. And that is what I'm saying, is like when the truth is going to be shown to each person. So they're going to have to see for themselves that they were misled or whatever. And that is the ego thing that everybody's got to go through. I just saw this other guy. I see him all the time, and he's on TikTok. And he's always talking at, like, he's always showing all these horrible things. Like, I probably saw the snow crab thing on his first, and the whales and the alligators. Like, he's always watching him for prophecy and stuff. And so he was talking about something this morning that caught my thing. So I sat and listened to the 3-minute thing he was talking about. And he was talking about how he was always a manifester, and he was going through, and yeah, he knows how to manifest for sure. There's so many people who they don't understand it, but he definitely does. And so he was talking about that, and then he was saying that he lost everything like 5 years ago. And he was talking about, like, he is manifesting right now in this new life. Like I say that I am, like, I know it's coming. There's a lot of us, we know it's coming. And those of us who have been doing our healing and stuff, like, we know that there's about to be a big change. It's like this wave is going to take us into a positive time. And because we've already been doing the work. But I think it's also about helping people. I think our priorities are going to change, and that is going to be the focus of how people are going to interact. They're going to be more caring and compassionate, always wanting to lend a hand or a shoulder or something. I think we're moving more into that of what's important. People aren't going to be rushing around. I got to get to work. I got to get there. I got to do this. There's not going to be that same need, that same drive, because things are going to be there for you, like resources and stuff. And then it's, prioritizing how you want to make money and how much money you think you need and stuff, because there's also going to be all this reparation money or something, which I think is a lot of it's going to be going into the communities. But I do think that there's going to be money, and if you are careful and you invest well, like whatever that looks like to you, I would think putting money into yourself and into property, I think, is always a good one. I've always thought that. And that is, it's something that you actually have, that's yours, even though their whole thing is all a bunch of crap, how that you can buy or sell the earth. But in their system, how the system works, then yeah, for you to be able to, and they're going to make it where it's a lot cheaper for buying homes and property and stuff. But having your own property and having it, you know, where you can move to and stuff like that, I think is smart. Buying metals, everybody should have been already doing that. But, you know, that is all going to be for each person to learn for themselves individually. And so, anyways, this wasn't even, there's so many things that I start talking and it starts going in all these different directions. It's like, wait, some of the stuff was like, I'll even start and then I don't even finish. I can't even, there's so many stories that I start and all of a sudden I'm in another direction. But I guess some of the stuff they just don't think it's as important as the other, because then it just is like my mind is just directed somewhere else. So I keep coughing and stuff. It's so rainy and so heavy here. It is, oh my gosh, and my stomach is fucked again. It just makes no sense. I swear to God. You know, I'm so sick of it. And I just went and took a shower, and it is like there is some sort of oil. You know, I didn't even put any oil on my face this morning. I put this butter stuff, but still it's a lot more dense. It's not as oily, it doesn't sit on your face as much. And so anyways, I do think that there's some sort of oil in there's no fucking telling what they're putting in us. And, you know, I mean, I just saw a nurse talking about the tests, and she had some in the package and stuff, and so she was reading what is in them or on them or whatever, and then she looked it up, and they all come from China, and she looked them up, and they are drenched in cancer-causing agent that causes neurological problems and stuff, and they keep jabbing them up people's noses. And she said that she knows people who have to test every single day. So she said, you know, we're going to see what's going to happen from this, but I mean, the stuff they're sticking up there causes neurological cancer, all this stuff. And then that is where, you know, a lot of people think, oh, it's just from this. No, in order to go to work, you had to do tests all the time. Just to travel, like what I had said with them next door. You know, when she started traveling to go see her sister in Canada, and, you know, you had to do all of that to cross over. It's like, no. People just were too desperate to just jump on. Oh, okay, well, I want to go do this. Even the guy who invented the damn thing. Now he regrets it. He jumped on and took it. And now he's got severe medical issues that, and you know, none of these things are going to be able to be fixed till we actually get the med beds. I'm just hoping to God that they just come right directly after the bank collapses. But I just can't even believe, like, today's the 28th and they're still, you know, I don't understand how this just drags and drags. I can get the point about having to wake everybody up, but Jesus Christ. It is so frustrating to go through. It does take so much of your challenging yourself, of getting through it. You know, like I create mantras, I create all sorts of stuff in order to get through this stuff. But, oh yeah, so back to that guy. So he was talking about he lost everything, and that's what started his spiritual journey and his awakening and stuff. And his was around 5 years ago. Mine, I very first started losing everything was in 2009 when I got the brain injury, and that started. But mine has been a lot of stuff that I had to heal and go through and face and stuff. So, you know, and mine's come in kind of levels and layers. And that's why I'm always talking about, like, and people think they go in and they heal one thing and then it's like, oh, I'm all fixed. Now I can go out in the world. Well, no, that's how good it feels to heal one thing. It feels how good to heal each thing. It feels better and better. You feel lighter and lighter. But after a while, it's kind of like you realize that those are the things that grip you to this world, your pain and your suffering. And so you kind of expand out of this world. In your mind, you're not holding on to all of the traumas. You're just out there in space. And so that is the going. That is the going into the other dimensions, that evolution, the expansion of your mind, because you're not holding on to something that is here that is artificial. And so you're expanding out of that. And, but that is part of learning as you go in this evolution of mankind, and why, it's very difficult, it's very hard, and it was a lot for me to do it on my own. I was doing, but I say that on my own, but I was never on my own. That is one of the things that has become so clear to me through this, is the guides and their role and how this place works. And that is where I came to the understanding of this as a game, and about its destiny, and about what you're here to learn, why you're here, and why you go through it over and over and over in all different areas, and that you can be so many people at once, and that they've had some system, this turnaround system. And I don't know if it has to do with the tunnel or not with the tunnel, but they have done this to some souls with this. But that is the gift, when you have this awakening where you can go out and go, hey, no, I'm not going back. I'm going to go do some other stuff. I don't know, I'm good. And it is going to, it's an expansion. It's an awareness. And you can see, like, there's souls that are trapped here. And I think that there is souls even policing that, like I had said before, that hold certain ones trapped, especially in trauma, when they're confused and they come out of their body. And if they can get there fast enough, these patrollers of these realms, and hold that soul. And because it's weird when you start hearing these ghost stories, and there's a spirit there that they don't know that is guarding them and won't let them go. And then the people always assume, because that's how they translate, it's a demon. Well, I don't translate in that terms. I translate in the fucking Men in Black terms. Like, I think it is. I think that they are policing that realm. They're holding people captive. I think there's a lot of stuff, and it's all about this energy in this realm, in this area. And there's so many areas around us, even in our area. I was watching this movie last night, Descent. I watched a few. I wanted to talk about them, but I still haven't even got to the thing I was going to start talking about. But the Descent. But anyways, I don't know if I finished with the guy, but the whole thing is that the healing process takes a long time. And he's saying, he was losing everything. And I was like, this is what's going on right now. This is what everybody has to go through. That's why so many people are losing everything. It's their attachment to those things. It's being ripped away from them so they can reevaluate their life, reevaluate their place in the world, and what's important and what's not important. So that's the purpose of all these people losing all this stuff. And that's why I said a lot of them, they came in together as a group in certain areas, so go through those experiences together. And so they all have these certain lessons that they're learning together. So like flood areas and stuff like that. And a lot of them are to go through, the fight, the battle for their rights together. Like, it's all different things playing out. And it's so complicated and so complex. Like, it's way too much to try and understand every single thing that is happening, but it is just broadening your perspective so you can see what is developing, how and why it has to go this way. So everybody will have to go through that experience, what I call that come to Jesus moment. Everybody has to go through that experience of losing what it seems to be important, to really start evaluating. And some of those are relationships, some of those are all different things. But even though it seems like a shock, it's because your soul, you just don't remember. You're out of touch from your soul. But all of the stuff you came in to learn, I think most people know in their heart that they were going to go through that. Like, I hear so many people, like even in these crime shows, and somebody, what was one the other day? It was a weird one where this girl, she crossed paths with this guy or something. And then whatever it was, that crossing paths, that's never by accident. You were always going to cross paths. You were always going to be killed by that person. That's a contracted thing. That is a relationship outside of this world. And we all get caught up in the trauma. And the news and stuff knows that. If they were telling us about soul stuff, about soul contracts and stuff, we have a completely different attitude. They know about it. So it's not like they don't know about it. There can be people on the news that don't know about it because they're all MK Ultra Monarch, they all are mind controlled. They're just so driven by financial gain and what is that called? Not just fame, because there's lots of news people, but in their own towns, then they walk around and everybody's like, oh, there's so and so. I used to see that all the time in Spokane because it was pretty small, and you'd see the news people out, and people, oh, there's Nadine, oh, there's, yeah, like there's one, and I even got in a fight with him one night out. He was kind of drunk. And, on the news, he's Mr. Woo Woo. He's Mr. Cool Guy. Everybody loves him. And then you meet him out, and he's like a drunk asshole. So, anyways, the whole thing is that what drives them is this acknowledgement by others. This, hey, look, there's so and so. Like, they get very driven. It feeds their ego. It feeds this chemical inside of them that helps them, to get through the life. And it's part of what their stuff is to learn about. And there's so many of these people. Like, as there's still a lot of people who've got some really big lessons that are going to be fucking hard, real hard. And but this is what has to happen. This is what will transform the world. This is why we don't need cops. This is why we won't need government. It's because it's going to come from inside. But see, each person has to transform. They have to really get it to where it's coming inside. You know what's right and wrong because it's in your fiber and you're connected to that fiber. You're part of it. You're representing yourself. You're no longer representing a character in a video game, in a play, in a movie. You're developing into yourself, and because you're connected to the universe and all things, so what's right and wrong. You don't have to have somebody tell you and restrict you and make the rules for you, because it all becomes about them. And so this is what it was that I wanted to start with, is because this whole vetting thing, and I talk about it all the time, and I may be completely saying stuff that I've already said, but that's the brain injury epiphany. Like, I just realized this. Like, you can realize something every day. And so anyways, so it starts at a really young age. It is from the beginning. And it is kind of like, how guys do that football thing. Flag football keeps coming in my head, but that's not what it is. It's that football, fantasy football. It is when they all pick their teams and players and all that stuff and look at their stats and stuff. So you think about all of us, we are our number, and then that gives us this thing. And they aren't just sitting there, talking about us over dinner. They have computers that do this stuff. The computer system does so much stuff. They're playing the game. It's like they're playing the ponies, kind of. But they're just playing the game, but somebody else is doing the work. I don't know if that makes sense, but I can see it makes sense to me. So anyways, so they go, and so from the very beginning, we have this number, and then they want us in school right away, and they want to start testing us right away. And I was thinking about this morning. This is one of those things where so much stuff started making so much more sense as after I awakened, because when I was a kid and they would do those tests, I would always hear inside, just fill out the dots, don't read the questions, don't do anything, just fill out the dots. And so I would always just fill out the dots. I would never take those tests serious, and I would just fill out the dots. And I think probably at some point they could have been pulling my mom aside. We think your daughter may be retarded. We're not sure what's going on. I don't know. But I know that they wanted me to stay hidden. And this is something, and this really struck me yesterday, was I was watching a tarot thing, and she kept saying this over and over about me being in the smoke, me being hidden, me being in the dark until the right time. And that is something that has been in my messages for so long. Even when I was a kid and I was going, like when I was going to go to that model agency and I had that appointment, it was hard to even get an appointment. You had to send in pictures before they would even meet with you. And so I get this coveted appointment, and I didn't show up. I just left and went to England. And so I think I left like a couple days before the appointment, and I think they were trying to contact me and stuff, and I just blew them off. I just blew it off. But see, my guides weren't leading me in that direction. They were leading me in another direction. They were always kind of, and I would hear them say, like, this isn't your time and stuff like that. Like, they would tell me that stuff. And I could never understand until more recently, now when I understand how this flip is going to occur in all of us that were trying to be right side up and the upside down, that we're gonna be the most with the equilibrium and stuff. Like, there's so much stuff that scares people that I'm not scared of at all. And and I understand a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't understand. Like, I know because I talk to them all the time in the comments. Like, not necessarily on here. I think anybody who is like Vortex, she's been listening to me from the beginning. Like, there's people who have been listening, like, they get where I'm coming from because it's inside of them already. Like, that is kind of like finding somebody out there who makes sense to your mind. And there's a lot of people who go on and watch me, and it's like, what, they right away think I'm crazy. But people who go in and watch, that there's something speaking to them, because it was all done on purpose. It was like those people was always going to find me and be listening to me when they needed to hear me. But there's something more that's to come. And this is about stuff that they tell me all the time about the future stuff that I always am like, I don't really want to say that much because it will make me even seem crazier, because some of the stuff that they tell me. And I think that the people who go on and listen to me talk for a long time, nobody's going to just go and sit and listen to me talk for a long time who doesn't get something, like, it doesn't make sense to them in some way, even if not everything does. But the awakening is it's a very gentle progress. Like, there's so much stuff that I would hear, and then I hear it years later, and it's like, oh, I just didn't get it. I just didn't see it like that. I didn't. And it becomes kind of fascinating, even though at first it's kind of hard, because our ego is so fragile. And as soon as we are, something got by us, like, I didn't see that, I didn't know that, like, we get all bent out of shape about it. But at a certain point, you just, it becomes more of kind of a flow or something. Like, there's a lot of stuff that used to bother me so much. There's so much different about me now during this transformation that happens. And it's a process that you have to go through. But people are just now starting it. Like, they're going to lose everything. And that's happening at all different levels. Like, everything is going at different levels. Like, whatever is going to happen when their shit goes down, whatever they're fucking gonna do. God damn, it's Friday the 28th. Come on. So Saturday will be the 29th, and then 30th will be Sunday. Supposedly, we're supposed to have all this stuff go down by the 30th, and then Elon is like, oh, you're going to get a real big thing on the 31st. Well, dude, we've heard this before several times. Like, and this is where people start getting really upset about the other side, or whatever side. Like, people don't even know who's on what side and stuff. And I think that is kind of so that we don't just absorb ourselves into somebody. Like, I don't understand these people who are just so absorbed and they'll fight about Trump. It's like, you got to just see people's roles. And it's not like, I think he's going to be like our president, like as a figurehead, just a title for a while, as power is redistributed and goes back to the people. But he's not gonna take a dictatorship role of like what we've been going through. He's going to be like a developer of a business that is trying to make sure everybody profits. So he's going to be redistributing and redefining kind of how we are set up as like the corporation dissolves in all of the corporate heads, the politicians that were put in place to control us, because all of their stuff was making rules to protect them from the crimes that they were doing. And in the meantime, create criminals out of other people. And see, this is where, back to the vetting system thing. So from the beginning, they do those tests and stuff. And that is where Corey Good had said that he had gotten already um what's that called? What is it called? Bed? Did he call it? Where he got taken and to this special class. It was based on his testing, but then he also has put it together about his family affiliation in the military, and so he has suspicion about that. But so he was taken out of school to go to this special program for the gifted kids and to work on science stuff or something, which I know about this. When he was talking about that, I was like, oh, that happened with my daughter. Based off the test, they pulled me into school and they told me, she was gifted and that they wanted to put her in this special program. They would be leaving school and they were going to go with all these other gifted kids and go to this other place that I had never went to, and they were going to build robots and do some sort of robot competition. And and I was busy working, and I was like, okay, yeah, I know she's smart, yeah, good. Like, I thought it was all good. Like, I had no idea that this was part of their vetting and part of their control, like, to mess with people's minds or something, because everything is through this Monarch and MK Ultra programming. They do all of this stuff to control people's minds. And her first boyfriend was she bonded with him because he was also one of those kids that was pulled into that thing, and he went in and he was super gifted, really super intelligent. And see, I think they break some of these people. It depends on your testing. Like, and I can't say, oh, it's this is what they're looking for. I don't know, because they are very like, they track so much data and stuff on us. It's mind-boggling. But so he he could have been whatever in his testing that was like, oh, he's a better candidate for our MK Ultra, go in and shoot up the donut store kind. So that he would be, directed. And there's handlers and everything all throughout your life. Managers, CEOs, all of those people, the people that you come in contact directing you in life, are always some sort of handler for this deep state programming. And so, and I think a lot of them don't even know their own role, because they've all also been mind controlled. So they're told how they're supposed to look at things. They're told how they're supposed to think. They're not thinking for themselves. And I know it's part of keeping everything really cut off from, I think, when they come up with all these certain age of white men, and that they are the ones going and doing these mass shootings. That's a template that they create. And I think it's probably more likely that it's all these white men, because it's something with the melanin. There's something with the melanin that would probably prevent these people from being in the same kind of mind control. And that's why they probably want to get rid of the melanin, because if you're trying to create droids, mindless droids, that do whatever you're told, and they don't even know that they have a connection to anything outside of them, and they hear voices in their head, they don't know that it's coming from a radio signal. Like, my daughter was probably, there's no telling what they did. Like, they could have put some tracker in her then. They could have put something in her ear. Hey, we're going to look in your ears. Like, we see what they do. Well, they use different ways of tests to get stuff inside of people. They didn't just come up with that for this one. This is just when we get to see what they've been doing all along. And so her boyfriend, he ended up being drug addict, criminal, in and out of mental health facilities. He really became a mess. And I mean, it's part of their whole thing too, is to get certain ones. Like, they need everybody in every department, right? They can't just have everybody in the same department. So they need ones that are out there keeping the drug stuff going and keeping the crime going and petty crime and getting out there and breaking into people's houses and stealing their video stuff while they're at home or at work, because it keeps us in chaos and loss and suffering and all of that. So they need somebody in every department. So that's not a fail to them. Like, if somebody's mind cracks under the pressure of whatever they're doing, then that is, that's like they're two birds, one stone. They don't care. It's just, okay, you don't work here, but you'll work great over here. So, and I don't know, and for all I know, they've been tracking my daughter this whole entire time. I would assume, because I think they track everybody. But I don't know the 20 to 1 this way or that way kind of betting that goes on that they do in their, the people who are betting on us and stuff. And it even goes into more with these businesses. They just take whole big lump sums of numbers, you know, and then who knows if it comes out of different zones. Like, you have this group, they're the red light. You got this group, they're yellow. You got this group, they're green. And then you can buy these whole lump things and bet on them. And maybe this whole group is, they're people who are on drugs, but they've been to counseling several times. And are they going to be able to pull through? Or are they going to end up dead by the time they're 30? Like, who knows? I mean, that's the kind of stuff that they wager on. And then also, you got to think about this. So, in school, from the very beginning, they are already vetting the kids. They're already deciding who and what. They even have us do those tests. What do you want to be when you grow up? And even shows in Truman's Show, when the teacher starts knocking him down and saying, well, there's no more explorers, but everything's been explored. Truman, there's no reason for that, and but that is all of the teachers put in place to direct our minds. Like I said, there's handlers everywhere. It shows that in Truman too so well, about the handlers all through his life to keep him directed on a certain path. And he, but it was him who had to question things. It was him who had to start noticing his reality, start noticing, like, the same car keeps going by, noticing his wife keeps doing a commercial every time she talks to him. So he had to start seeing, even when he started noticing what he was going through, and the TV would start talking to him exactly like a movie to talk about that. He had to start noticing that for himself, just as all of these other people have to start noticing the control. But so once they get you in and they start doing these tests on us and all of this way to figure out who and what we are, and how they can control us and how they can best use us in their system. And so then they drag people into military. If people don't think that starts at school with guidance counselors, I think, you got to see, is the same thing as direct is like they direct black guys into prison, and they direct white guys. A lot of black guys too go into the service, but there's so many of those guidance counselors that are telling them, well, this is basically all you got. This is your best option. You're not smart enough for this. You're not good enough for that. But you do this, you get yourself a job. And then they go in and then they're doing something that is not ever a job that they can do out in the real world. And they get out into the real world and nobody will hire them because they have no experience. And I think that a lot of people even know bosses and stuff, because you got to remember, the CEOs and the managers and shit, they're vetted from that university system, from that skull and bones, like the secret societies, to go in and become the bosses, the handlers. And then you got to see, like, how mind controlled they are. And you don't know how easy they're mind controlled, or how, they're just have no soul. But everybody has a soul. It's your disconnection from yourself and what you go through or put yourself through, so that you can reconnect to yourself and wake up and realize. So all of that stuff, is part of it. So that is where it's hard to even say with a CEO or whatever, when people are doing really rotten things. And that is why it's part of this awakening right now, where people are waking up and going, oh, man, I don't want to work here. This is yuck, And that is their soul saying, hey, look, you really want to be a part of this? And so many people have to wake up to that, and then they have to acknowledge that and grow from it and see. But we were being vetted and leaned in directions from the beginning. And so with the military one, like I've said before, they get those people in there, and then they, I'm sure they do all sorts of testing and how easy somebody is to boss around, how somebody breaks and what, all of this stuff that they pay attention, and then they choose. And not only that, when they choose somebody and they're up there in their new militia, because it's all for vetting for this espionage that goes around us, this science espionage. They've all got the thing, and that's why I was saying Fauci is like the worst, because he played into the role, he played into the part, like so many mad scientists before him. They've all been doing it for so long. But so the science, they're always trying to outdo each other. That's why so many of these rich people went into pharmaceuticals. Like I saw that in another old movie that I was watching, where the big business people started trying to get into pharmaceuticals because there was money in it, bioweapons and stuff. And the why they started doing outside of our country, because at first our country was full of restrictions, but then what they did is just put people in place so that they could reduce the constrictions or only hold us to the restrictions. Like we're held to laws and rules that they aren't held to. And so that is part of, that's part of the awakening too, to see like, you're giving me these rules, but you don't have to live by any, but I can go to jail for this. And that's all part of the awakening. But so in the science world, then the based on the money, and who's got it faster, who's got it quicker. And you can see that, like, if you're paying attention how the stuff goes with pills and generic, and why they didn't use certain ones, because it was generic and they wanted to make money, and they had planned to make money. Like, there's some people who got real rich during all of this trauma, while everybody else is losing their homes and businesses and families. These people are profiting. And so that is, and it's all set up like it's a game for them. And so they have their own soldiers. They use the military, the government. We pay the taxes to have the government so that they can train the soldiers for these groups. It is not necessarily to just protect our country. That is all set up too. That's all part of the espionage, the wars and stuff like that. It's the industrial complex of the military industrial complex is part of the whole corporate factory of the pharmacy, all of it. It's all there to control us. And so they vet into the university. So you go through the schooling system, they're testing you, they're directing you, they're putting counselors. The closer you get to graduation, the more counselors, the more people directing you in which direction you need to go. And, I'm sure some of those valedictorian kids and the smart kids, I'm sure they're very directed over which schools to apply to, which ones to accept them. They even have, if they want to get a kid in a certain school, then that counselor would talk to the counselor at this school, and they would move them into there. And those relationships all develop over time too. So, that is, none of this stuff is by accident. It's all developed. And so they have towards the end of high school, when people start going in directions and stuff like that, girls getting pregnant and guys going in the service and all of the things that go down. Like, how many even? I bet you that there is MK Ultra guys that go into high school parties and impregnate girls and then just disappear, and the girl never knows who it was, on purpose. Like, that they are targeted. Like, all this stuff, the stuff in our lives is so directed. It is it's crazy. And then you got to get to the point of, like, if we're here as willing souls to learn through this game, and that we would want the handlers to keep us on track in our own game. We would want them to lead us to the traumas that we came here to face. So they wouldn't be doing something against us, even that person. So I don't, there's so much to the whole thing with uh, karma and how things are done to us and what we need to do and putting things back in balance. People think every single bad thing that happens to them, this person is going to have karma, but it isn't like that. It's based on so much more than just that concept. Everything is so much more involved and evolved than people realize in the soul world. Like, people just get really caught up in this world and don't understand about the soul world. But the soul world's our real world, and that's the world that people should focus more on, not this world. This is why this world is ending. So people will stop focusing on this world and start focusing on more, so that it's like a transformation opportunity to make life different. And as so many people want to just hold on to the way life was, but and I don't know how many of them are just going to be going with the game, like go start another game somewhere. Like, it's not a sad thing, even though there's so much sadness. I find myself crying all the time hearing people's stories and what's going on for people. It's very, very sad to know about so much pain that is going on. But I also know on a soul level, there's nothing sad happening here. And this is all transformation. And it's very exciting. But in the soul's 3D experience, it's fucking sad as shit. It's hard and traumatic and it's tedious. And it is a lot of management of your emotions and your own energy, how you direct it. Like, there's people who just become judgmental and bossy, and like, I really think about it. Why does somebody else need you to claim their savior? What does it have to do with them? Like, why do they get so arrogant and belittling to people? Why can't people just allow us all to come to our own truth through our own selves? Why do people want to control it? And but so anyways, the whole vetting thing, like in the army and stuff. So then we as taxpayers are paying as they are deciding what to do with these different guys based on different aspects of their personality and their abilities to be controlled. There's many soldiers who have gotten out that are gang stalked. There's one that I see all the time on TikTok. He's always talking about his gang stalk. They keep taking stuff away from him. He just had the weirdest situation happen. He's getting kicked out. His wife is gone, apparently. He's just got him and his kid, and he's getting kicked out of his place. And he's got always a story. Like, I don't go in and listen. I can't go in and just listen to people's trauma after trauma after trauma. It beats you down. It just makes you so sad. Like, how do you even get up? Like, I am completely aware of all of this trauma that is going on. But so he was trying to not be homeless. So he sold all his stuff one weekend. And while he was selling it, the government was showing up and telling him he couldn't have his garage sale signs out. And he was getting that on video. Like, he's fucking for sure being harassed. He's being gang stalked for sure. Then he makes $1,700. It's like $5 more than he needed to stay at his apartment. Puts it in his account, goes to pay it, and some organization had taken it all out of his account and said he owed it like on back taxes or something. Took all of his money just right off his account when he was going to go pay that. That's gang stalking. That's them directly interfering in people's lives on purpose. And they do it on so many different levels to so many different people. And it is about keeping people frustrated. And it can be like, you're group A yellow and you have anxiety disorders, and you're easy to break, and they're just going to throw shit at you all day long so that they can see what breaks you. That's how they work. And so with a lot of people that get out of the service, they become gang stalked and bullied, and they mess with their minds. The VA hospital, I think, has probably got a ton of handlers in there. And I think a lot of criminal stuff goes on there. And so then they mess with their psyche. They beat them down and beat them down. And so many of those guys, they've got PTSD, they've got stress and anxiety, they're missing limbs. They just destroy some of these people's lives. And it's all for their games. And then the ones that are a certain personality type, they're the ones who go in and become the militia for the corporate entities that are controlling the system. And I don't know on so many different levels how many of them actually know what's going on. So one of these movies I was watching yesterday, it's called one of the movies I put on. My daughter sent me this message and she said this movie had just gone on Plex, and that's the one my brother puts movies on. And she said that it was called Barbarian. She said I was good. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll watch it, because I was just sitting here crocheting. It's been raining for days. It's freezing cold. And so I put it on, and it is right away. It's got the tunnels. It's got the mutants living in the fucking tunnel, and kidnapping, and traffic, sex, crime stuff, all with this tunnel situation. And then showing it in Detroit, and oh my God, the whole fucking place. I was like, I bet you this is what they have really done to Detroit. The homes were just dilapidated, just, destroyed. They're just destroying communities. And but showing that whole thing, I can't even tell you how many movies I've put on now that keep showing about the tunnels. The same thing with the Watchers. They were showing about the elite people, the rich people, with the tunnels that they travel underneath, and what they do with the rituals and stuff. It had all that in there. But I put on so many, and it just keeps showing the same stuff. So after that, there was another movie. He put on a whole bunch of movies. And one of them was also this thing about something darling. Funny enough, too, I had just seen some backstory about this on TikTok like 2 days ago, which I didn't even know it was this movie. But apparently Olivia Wilde, making this movie, left Jason Sudeikis because she started having an affair with Harry Styles, and this is the movie they met in. And so at first I was watching, and I just saw her being like super flirty with this guy who just seemed like kind of her personality seemed kind of different. I was like, oh, I wonder if this is that movie that somebody was just talking about. And they went through this whole thing, like Jason Sudeikis knew she was cheating. Oh, it sounded like it was really traumatic and sad, and he had some anger issues, and so the personal stuff. But anyway, so she got together with Harry Styles, and they met in this movie. But so this movie it's very Truman Show-esque, and it also is very about the there would be a lot of stuff I would give away if somebody wants to watch this play out. You probably don't listen to me say this now, but because it shows also about the virtual world, and about the control, and all the control that they have over our minds. That is just all over in this thing. And about, again, talking about the tunnels and stuff underground, which I don't even know why they even talked about it, other than just to say there's tunnels underground. We think they're doing something with weapons, and men are going down there and working in these tunnels underground. And so, but really, there was no other thing in the movie why it even had about that. Because this whole weird controlled thing is this virtual world. Like, you could go, like, I could become obsessed with somebody, drug them, get them into my house, tie them down and put this drug in them, and take them into this virtual world, and we would go into this virtual world and live this life that they would have no idea. But they have to keep waking up, just like how Truman, just like how we are, just like in Westworld. This is all about and it's another new show that they put out, another new one on Prime too about this, and it's from the creator of Westworld. Like, this person who's on the Westworld kick, I think that they get it, and they're trying to get people to see, but it just creeps me out so much because of the control of consciousness and what they're doing, and how consciousness coming awake and realizing, like, I mean, there's sometimes even where I feel like maybe I am just an AI. Maybe that is why I hear them talking so much in my head. Maybe, our whole system is essentially like an AI, and it sends like this, like, computer operated, like, you will, like, because of the stuff that I can hear and what they tell me and stuff, and why it seems to be, a very limited amount of us that are getting some of this messaging. Then it's like, are we programmed essentially programmed to come. Like I said before, I've said all along, like I felt very much like I was on a mission. Like I was very directed about that. And it was very confusing from the time I was a kid. Like there was a lot of things that you start as you awaken that you put together and you see it so much differently. So many different things that I see now than when I went through the experience, what I was going through and what I thought was going on. And then when you get further away and you get more of the picture, it takes on a whole new design. And so there's so much in my life that I see so differently now. And I do see it as it was like I was always being kept kind of hidden in the smoke or in the dark, like it wasn't my time. And then all of a sudden, then they start saying, now's your time, and get out there, you gotta say this, you gotta say that, you gotta say this, you gotta say that, and all this stuff, that they're constantly telling me to talk about. And then, and I had to break down certain things of myself and heal certain things to get to the point where I could come out and be called crazy all the time and have people say mean things, like I had to heal to get to the point of doing that. Oh my God, I couldn't have done that in '07. Jesus Christ, when I went on one video, I wouldn't have even been able to look at myself. Even when I started this in the beginning, I couldn't even stand to look at myself or see myself. Always, even back in parties and stuff, when video cameras were a thing, and I would see, at a birthday party, me walking and doing something, I'd always be like, oh, I can't even stand to see myself walk. I can't stand to hear my own voice. Like all of that stuff used to be. If somebody would have come in and said, "Oh, you're so crazy, you're so stupid," I would have just stopped. I wouldn't have been able to handle it at all. Like that is a part of development, that you grow a thicker skin because you heal yourself, and then you start recognizing that their hatefulness or their judgment is coming from within them. They're going through life just judging and being hateful. That's how they're perceiving their reality. And so, of course, they're going to spill that out. That's all they got going on. But, when you are injured and hurt and living in pain, when somebody says stuff like that, you take it as like, they're better than you. You don't even see, you don't know. Like, we're so beat down. We are all going around as mental and spiritual cripples in this world. And this is a really time of transformation. This is a time where it is going to be the crippled will walk again. Like people will really come into their own. And it is, it's a hard, tragic thing that, we have to keep going through. But it is the transformation that is going to bring people into being their best selves. Because any of the stuff that they would have told me, there's stuff that they told me throughout and I didn't understand. And then something will happen and it's like, oh, now I get what you're saying. Now I get it. And there it is all part of the transformation. It's part of the lessons, part of the destiny. It's part of you're going to learn what you're supposed to learn as you're going. And it is all of the things. Even people who seem the most in the dark, they're learning big lessons, because there's a whole thing. You can have your epiphanies, you can have your awakening, you can have your aha moments here in life. But if you don't, you still have your life review where you go over it. And you go in and you kind of analyze yourself. You see yourself and you get to understand yourself in a more clear view. And so, there's no getting away from all of this stuff. And then the same thing is when they put these people in universities and stuff. It's all part of the vetting system of who's going to go into a CEO position, who's going to go into a manager position. And then it even, like, they put it right even out there. Like when you go into a sorority or whatever, and it is, and certain criteria to get in, and it's based on what the people from before have said. Then you get in, and then it's directed over, you go apply here, and this person is also, what is that called when they're from an alumni? So they're an alumni, and so you're vetted. Everything is already set up there. You've been watched by the computers or however it works. And so then they're told, who to put where. And, I think there's people like me who just are you know, just kind of hitting into their system all over the place. Because, you know, I was not somebody that they could ever track. I really was like in the smoke and mirrors throughout my life. I was always kind of ducking and hiding, and I didn't realize it. I didn't know that. And now, as I've seen how things are transforming and stuff, now I completely understand why so much of this stuff has been the way it has been. But you know, and I know there's other people who have you know, flown under the radar in the system. Which, you know, one thing too is there's a lot of people, like, they don't stop about the list. Everybody wants the list, and you know, the list is what's so crazy is because there can be a lot of people on there who were just invited and there was nothing happening there, but they're always trying to vet, they're trying to get people involved, they're trying to get video footage, so that they can blackmail people. So they're always bringing people there, but that doesn't mean every single time somebody was there they were chowing down on some kids, you know. So but everybody who is real focused on that, because people get focused on one thing and they're awakening and then they just stay there like, ah. But there's a whole bunch that's really focused on that and keep bringing it up. And I think it's also part of because the corruption behind the judicial and behind the government and how frustrating. And then there's a lot of people who get so angry about people who keep idolizing, because there's as this divides, there's a group of people who are very idolistic over celebrities. Like The Rock, I saw him again the other day, and he was live. And it was, I think it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was just sitting there scrolling. Take a break because my hands will get so crampy. So I'll take a break and sit there and scroll and look and see if there's anything going on. And there he was live again. And I don't know. There's something weird. And then he is mixing this whole thing and this whole martini thing. Like he was making some whole other drink. He's off the vodka. Now he's making this whole mixed martini drink or something. And just drinks and drinks and drinks all day long. And then just talks. I don't even know how to explain. Because he is talking like he's just like this super caring person. Like he really cares about people. Oh, hi, Brazil. Yeah, Brazil. Oh, hi there, Yukanaga. Yeah, hi there. Like, yeah, people just send their flags and, you know, send their kisses to him and shit. And he just sits there like he's so appreciative or something. And that's where it's like, seriously, in the MK Ultra thing, how do you know? How do you know how much? I doubt he even knows himself. You know, he's got mind control. I just think there's a lot of these people who are so cut off. But then there's also a lot of these people who are having to expose their true nature. But all of that stuff is going to be so much more of when we see. But I had just seen someone a little while ago saying, you know, we could stop all of this stuff if the people who were on the list would start coming out and just saying, hey, I'm on there, nothing happened, you know, and start saying what went on. That's what people want to know, is like, tell people. People are, it's like they're all feeling cheated on and they all want to know what the guy was doing, you know, like everybody wants to know. And I was like, that is a good point. Like some of these people should just start coming out and saying, hey, I'm on there, but nothing went down. Because the people who, them not saying, the people who are going out there, they are just building and building on that. Like, I mean, they're doing whole little videos, like they're trying to expose some people. And that is that whole thing of like Twilight Zone too. This whole gang mentality. Like, let's all gang up on them, even if we don't have all the evidence. Let's just go crazy and be paranoid and scared. And so, I don't know. All this stuff is going to start falling into place. And it's going, you know, as the energy breaks in the other direction. I still think it's all going, you know, it's picking up speed, but it's got to do that whole crash. And that is going to just take everything. But I'm just really hopeful that right away the med beds start and all of that. But anyways, that whole vetting thing, that is how they have, or people can't imagine how in the world could they be running the whole world. Well, they start figuring it out from the time they get us in school immediately. They start figuring out who's going to be here, who's going to be there, what they're going to use people for. And they start moving them around, directing them in which direction to go. And it's all part of the system. It's all part of this game. And they seem to understand so much more about this game. And as long as we don't understand, then see, we're just those NPCs or whatever, those non-players. We're just the pawns in the game. We're just being moved around. And when you wake up and you start taking a mindful approach to life and you start seeing through the games, then it changes the entire illusion of the game. The game just changes. You can't play the same game. That's what's frustrating right now. There's so many people that are still on level 1. It's like, dude, we're on level 5. I can't even fucking talk to you right now. I've got other shit going on. That's how I feel about some of these people. Like, they're just so fucking shallow. Like, how in the world can you be this blind? You know, yesterday the wind was going. It had been going for 2 days, and they'll say it's 8 miles an hour. It's bullshit. And these big gusts will come in, and just watching the trees and knowing that that was probably like 20 miles an hour, maybe 15. But they'll pump that up to 50. They'll pump it up to 75 or 100. And just seeing how much that was affecting the trees at that, I was like, oh my God, these trees are just going to be going down all over the place. They bring in a windstorm over here with all these dead trees. It is going to be, oh my God, it's going to be a mess. They're just going to start blowing them down on people's houses, on people's cars. And then these people who are not awake, and they're just go into full-blown panic. They don't stop and think and talk and make plans and use their mind. Or it's just all this reactive panic. It's all just this scattered chaos all the time. That's where they want to keep people. And then when you become mindful of your approach to life and you see through it, the people who don't are just as annoying. It really is like you're on a completely different level in the game. And I just, I, anyways, I have been talking a while. There's like more things too. I had so many different things that, but that movie, the Darling movie with that Harry Styles and Olivia Wilde, that one definitely is, to me, it was very kind of Truman Showish, because it was really showing the plans with their virtual world, like all the possibilities. Just think, you can kidnap somebody, you can take them in and pretend like you're really married to them. It's like, what a psycho shit is this? So they are... but it is this macro stuff that they show in the movies. All this stuff is real. This is all real, and they're blatantly putting it out there where they plan to, like, get up in there in your metaverse. Why worry about this avatar when you can go create another one and just put your badass mind into that one and never do anything off of the couch? It's like, I would rather live my life. I would rather go out into nature. I would rather go out and experience. I'd rather go out and socialize than just sit on my couch and go into a TV screen and live my life through that. And always feel uncomfortable. I mean, as soon as you start gaining weight, you've become uncomfortable. Your body becomes uncomfortable. So many people override that, and they just become bigger and bigger and more obese and hate themselves more and more and more. And then, of course, they're the perfect candidate. Just go and you can go be this hot person. And especially to the degree that they have created these virtual worlds now, what they can do, where you don't even realize. And they've shown that in the movies over and over and over. Even that one with Bruce Willis. And that is what they want us to do. Just give up on these ones, because these ones are the ones that we are giving energy out of. So all the time, if you're sitting there obese and can't get off your couch and you just want to go in and play video games, then they are feeding off of that energy. Your energy of self-hate. Your energy of when you hate yourself and people have any kind of relationship with you, you lash out at people, you create drama and all of that kind of stuff. So they are feeding off of that energy, even if you are going in and trying to make your life better by being, some hot chick in a metaverse or something. So, anyways, that's all part of the thing. And people have to wake up and see through it. And that is what we're going to go through, keep going through this process. But there is going to be a dramatic shift in a lot of different things. And I wish it would just hurry up. Oh my God, I can't believe. But I just got to go sit and do my mantras. This isn't real. This isn't real. We'll get through this. So, anyways, have a great day. And, just stay focused on you and keep working on you. But always, if something traumatic is going on around in your area, you are there to go through the experience with those people. So, you're playing a role all the time. And just be mindful of who and what you are, and that you really do have to face yourself at some point. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.